looks good.
Looks more promising.
Yep. Looks very good.
In this direction. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There it is.
Ah! She's out. Oh, she's out.
This is the story of a turbo. This is the story of our turbo, the STR38. Now, while I may refer to it as an IS38 at times during this video, and while it may flow similarly to an IS38, this is our STR, and it addresses a lot of the shortcomings of the IS38, such as the shaft breakages and overall reliability. So sit back and enjoy as we put this on our Alltrack. And shameless plug, if you want this turbo in your MQB build, you can find it on our website.
Hello and welcome to something that a lot of you guys have been asking for and asking about. Our Dadmobile build. Here it is. We've used it. We've used it to go in the mountains. It's still got snow tires on there. Those are coming off. We've used it as a Dadmobile should be used. Great utility out of this car. Lots of fun to drive. Just an excellent, unique alternative to a lot of the bland out there. So now it's time to step things up and make it even less bland. And well, what we've got on that table is an IS38 turbo. That's right. So this is an IS38 OEM Plus turbo, as I like to call it. This is something that we are going to be offering for those looking to upgrade their GTIs, their Alltracks, their sport wagons, and their Golf Rs that have a failed turbo. So it is upgraded in the sense that it has a more resilient bearing. It doesn't have the insert inside the compressor housing, so you don't have to worry about the wheel snagging that. And it offers all the goodness of an IS38 on an MQB. Now, this car starts with an IS12, as you guys know, which is much smaller than an IS38. Once we pull it out of the car, you're going to see. And we're going to install the IS38 and dial that in. And we're going to show you guys what you can expect when you upgrade and tune the 1.8T and put an IS38 in there. You've probably seen some other videos online. You might have even seen some results on our website, but we'll take you through the entire process of making this type of Dadmobile even more fun for Dad. So join us along. This guy's coming apart. We've got John right here. He's going to be doing a whole bunch of the heavy lifting in terms of the swap. These turbo swaps have been covered on many channels by many people, and it's a pretty straightforward thing. So we're not going to really focus so much on the swap itself. We'll give you guys some snippets on all of that, but what we want to focus on is what the difference is once we got the new turbo in and the tune done, and kind of explore what you can expect from the car and how to get it there. So without further ado, let's turn some wrenches. Let's get a bigger turbo in this bad boy.
Hi, yes. So we just pulled out the downpipe here. Despite this being all-wheel drive, that's not what actually gave us a struggle. It was this sleeve clamp, because these are carriage bolts that are meant to hold it in place before loosening this, and they kind of stripped. So they were spinning with the nuts as I was trying to untighten them. So I had to use a little bit of heat. That allowed us to wiggle this out of the car. And as you can see, I've taken a couple of heat shields out just so I could move the drive shaft out of the way. So there's room for this massive OEM downpipe with the massive OEM catalytic converter to kind of come out of this hole. And now that that's out, we can work on taking the turbo out from the top.
If you're wondering where we're at, in this process. We are soaked in fluids, and that's really that's a sign of doing a turbo swap. So we've got this IS12 just sitting pretty here with everything out of the way. John's done an excellent job at getting the downpipe out, getting the intake out. The charge pipe is off the turbo, so it's ready to come out. We struggled a little bit with the oil return on the turbo, so we managed to get it off the block much easier than to try and get it off the turbo. So we'll swap it onto the new turbo before we put it in, just bolt it up right to the block with brand new O-rings and gaskets, which are included with the kit. So you too will have brand new O-rings and gaskets. So now this is the excitement part, because we got a tiny little baby turbo here. Okay, we're just gonna drop a nut. It's okay, we'll get new nuts.
One eternity later.
Oh, that looks good.
Looks more promising
Looks very good.
in this direction. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
There, yes.
Okay, well, I can tell you with my expert opinion that one is definitely larger than the other. So what you see here, this is the turbine side of the turbo, so you can see just visually the diameter of the IS12 turbine versus the diameter of the IS38 turbine. There's just a significant difference there. So the really nice thing about the Volkswagens, however, is that the outlet here, which connects to your downpipe, is identical. So that means that, of course, we can bolt this up to your existing downpipe, whether it's aftermarket or stock. The outlet flange from the head is again identical, which means that this is going to be a direct bolt-on turbo. The outlet here for your compressor outlet, so this is where your boosted air comes out of. This is, of course, the same angle and identical, which is really nice. And then you've got your wastegate actuator. This turbo comes with a pre-calibrated wastegate actuator. You don't need to use the one that has come off your turbo. We do need to swap over these lines, however. So all the lines with new O-rings and all that will be installed. Your primary O2 sensor goes in there, just like it does like stock. The beautiful thing about this is that you're essentially bolting on a significant power upgrade without having to change anything other than the components required for this power upgrade, which is the turbocharger itself, obviously with the bigger compressor and exhaust wheels. And one more size comparison, of course, you're going to see that, look at the volute here size, the exhaust housing size, which is significantly larger than the IS12 that has come out of the car. All right, she's all buttoned up. So the turbo's in there, the downpipe is in there. And so a quick tip for you when you're installing a turbo like this, pull out your spark plug connectors and floor the accelerator and crank the car so that you can prime the turbo. It's a good idea to give it some oil. The turbo does come with some oil that's gone through it, but it's good to just have some engine oil flow. And don't forget, obviously, to top off your coolant if you've done so. So we've done all that. We've started the car up. And now we're waiting for one exhaust clamp, but we're just gonna go underneath the car. We'll give it a quick start because it sounds fun with kind of an open exhaust. This is looking so stock, and it sounds a little rowdy. Hi. All right, so now we're standing right above our Dadmobile here, our Alltrack, and it's received, as you've seen, the STR38 turbo upgrade, which is an IS38 size turbo that we've put together with some benefits to it. And I have to tell you that the turbo has a fantastic performance on this car. I am so thrilled with how the boost comes on, with how it holds, with just the smoothness. And I'll show you guys that when we get into the car, and I'll show you how it runs. But I also love the fact that the car looks very much stock. We have still an OEM intercooler. We do have a downpipe with the OEM just axle back. still attached on the car, so it doesn't give too much away in terms of appearance, which is nice. Subtlety is nice on this wagon. And before we kind of wrap up the tuning, this particular tuning session on the STR38, I wanted to remove this intake box and give it a little bit of induction noise, plus open up the pathway so it breathes a little bit more. So right beside you here, we got our CTS big whale peen of an intake, and we've got the heat shield all prepared here. So I'm just gonna toss this on the car, and then we're gonna jump in. I'm gonna show you the results of the STR38 on this 1.8 liter. Remember, it's a 1.8 TSI motor. We're gonna talk about the benefits, we're gonna talk about the limitations, the next steps, and we're gonna get a nice comparison of what an intake does when you put it onto this setup, because I've already tuned it without the intake, and I just wanna give it a little bit of extra, that little bit of induction noise.
Move this out of the way.
I feel good about putting this puppy in here. Let's talk meat and potatoes. Meat and potatoes, and mostly just power. Just power, just protein. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. Now, what we've got on this car, to remind you, is the STR38 turbo, which is an IS38 spec turbo. It is built to our specifications, which make it more reliable than the IS38, and this is a great bolt-on turbo for a replacement on your Golf R if you need it, but as an upgrade to your IS20 on a GTI, or an upgrade to your IS12 on these 1.8 TSI cars, which this dad wagon here is. Now, the first comparison I want to run you through is the comparison between the power we're making on our turbo and the stock IS12. As you can see, the gaps in power and torque are massive, especially when you go towards the top end. So here, this made 310, it's a hot day, 310 wheel horsepower on the STR38 versus on the same pump gas on the stock turbocharger, you are looking at 220. And that's just the peaks compared. When you look at the area under the curve here, you're 100 wheel horsepower above what the IS12 can provide. On top of that, the beauty in this is that your peak power on the IS12 in this case is just past 5,000 RPM, but your peak power on this car is essentially near redline. So we're going just to about 6,500 RPM. The red line was set to 6,800 RPM in this tune. So it is just climbing and climbing, and it makes it for an exceptionally satisfying driving experience. This is all great news. This is all stock fuel system. This is all pump gas. So the car is significantly faster, significantly more enjoyable to drive. And it's just, if I could demonstrate to you this, here, we're right on the dyno. Just watch the speedometer and watch the tachometer. So you can see that right here, just below 3, I start to have real good spool, because look at this. You can hear that, and look at it pull. Look at that. And if I'm here, I still got power. Oh yeah. Man, it's just, the power is all there, and it covers such a large part of the rev range. So you can already hear the turbo spooling. I've got full torque right there. That's 4th gear. So really, we're getting a tremendous power band with this STR38 on this 1.8 motor, and the GTI with the 2.0 is also a great candidate for this upgrade. Now, on to a couple of other interesting comparisons, because I know you guys love comparisons. So let's compare this car to a stock Golf R. Now this is a little bit hard to see here, but what you will see is that this dotted line here is the stock Golf R. Stock tune, stock car. We've had these cars on our dyno, and what you'll observe is, first of all, the stock Golf R is able to spool the STR38 or an IS38 much sooner than this car. Two reasons. One, displacement of 2 liter versus 1.8, and number two, you've got the variable valve lift on the 2 liter motors, and this 1.8 doesn't have it. That gives you an advantage in spool that's about 500 RPM or so on the 2 liter. However, you can see that past that point, we are making more power on the STR38 than a stock Golf R. So should you line yourself up in this bad boy of a daddy wagon next to a Golf R, you're gonna be able to kick his ass, as long as he is not tuned by us. So once you tune the Golf R, things change a little bit, and this is what this chart shows you. So this is the same car. The customer came back, had some bolt-ons, the same bolt-ons that we have on this wagon, and you can see things look a little bit differently now. So the stock Golf R, or the stock turbo, I had an IS38, Golf R is not only able to spool quicker, but also it's able to carry more torque and more power than this wagon all the way to redline. And you're probably wondering why. Why is this discrepancy? The turbos are the same. Well, there's two reasons for this. One is going to be your displacement. This Golf R tuned on pump gas is making about 10% more power across the band than this car is. 1.8 to 2 liter, it's about a 10% change. So that accounts for at least some of this. The other aspect is that we're able to run much higher boost levels in the Golf R than we are in this car. The HPFP down low, that is higher flowing on the 2 liter cars, and the injectors up top that are higher flowing on the 2 liter cars. On the 1.8Ts, specifically on the 1.8Ts, you've got a hard time upgrading the HPFP, although you can bolt on a 2 liter car, and we've tuned cars like this, a 2 liter pump, sorry, and we've tuned cars like this. You can run MPI as well on the 1.8, but up top, there is a drop-in replacement for the injectors, and that's the Golf R injectors. So we're going to be revisiting this with some Golf R injectors to help us in the top end to see if we can extend even more this amazing power band that we've got. But even with zero fueling upgrade, so you've got our STR38 turbo, we've got an intake and a downpipe on this car, and you can see here the tremendous gains that you're able to make over the IS12 turbo. So if you've got one of these, if you've got a GTI, this is such a great upgrade as a turbo. We've got these on our website. You can check them out. You can send us questions about them. But really, I can't say how happy I am about the power band, the spool, even though it's a small displacement engine, and just how the overall car drives. And of course, part of the tuning package, I've also adjusted the DSG tune. So this is a DSG car. I've made it so that the shift points match this turbocharger well, and you can also get that from us when we tune your car for the STR38. Now, that's a lot of talking. Let's go for a little drive and show you how it is on the road. A little drive in the daddy mobile here. The dad wagon that is now so much more fun. So moms, dads, and even people who are not parents can enjoy this. Actually, I find the balance of this car quite nice. The heavier rear end really makes it makes it come around corners a little bit nicer than even a Golf R. So we know that it's got the same transmission as a Golf R, it's got the same all-wheel drive system, but it just, the rear end wants to rotate a little bit better simply because it's got a little bit more weight hanging out there. So once you get the momentum of the car around the corner, it seems and feels a little bit more natural. We're in drive, it's automatic. This is of course our own DSG tune for this car. It is a better driving tune than the OEM that doesn't just always seek to get you to the top gear as quickly as possible. However, it maintains that relaxed character of a car that is daily driven, that you don't want to, you still want decent fuel economy, so it does climb through the gears, but it is more responsive and just better fits the character of this STR38 turbo. So here I'm just gonna squeeze in the throttle a little bit. There I've already downshifted once, and I've already downshifted twice, and that was a very nice, quick passing maneuver. We've got, of course, Sport tuned as well. It's a little bit more aggressive. It holds onto the gears a little bit more, and of course that means that the turbo will come on a little bit quicker and a little bit harder. And once you're coming into a corner in sport mode as well, of course it downshifts a little bit more readily versus drive. Can hear a little bit of that growl. And a couple of crackles. I'm not sure if the camera caught those, but yes, we have some crackles in the Dadmobile here because they're fun. You may like them, you may not. We give you the option to either have them or not have them. But they sound very, very OEM-like with this stock muffler. Just that kind of Audi sort of sound to them, where you can definitely hear them, but they're not in your face, and they don't feel like you're setting off the artillery behind your wagon. Because after all, this car just doesn't exude that sort of image, at least the way that we've got this set up. And we're in first gear, so I'm just gonna step on it. As you can see, the acceleration is more than brisk, and it just carries that power all the way to red line, which is super satisfying. It's just the right amount for this car. There's the transmission is keeping up with it beautifully. The fuel system is keeping up with it even in its stock form. It's just great. Honestly, that's the best way I can describe it. You can enjoy the entire power band, and we can be here at about 3,000 RPM in manual mode, and you can just lean into it and turbo spools, and away you go. And it's just the right amount of power for this build. It feels so good, so good. This turbo, as they say, is how the car should have come from the factory. If you're on the fence about a turbo upgrade like this, honestly, giving the performance per dollar, the smiles per mile, whatever cliche or metric you want to throw at it, I don't think can possibly go wrong. This entire package on this car is our STR38 turbo, our tune for the ECU, our tune for the TCU, and then we've got an intake and a downpipe. And magic. So all I can say is magic. We've got suspension mods on this car. We've got our cup kit, of course, Bilstein, Eibach, sway bar. That makes the car move around and rotate much better than stock, and also take up bumps much better than stock. The Alltrack specifically had not an amazing suspension from the factory. So yeah, there's your package for an incredibly fun wagon that will embarrass some properly fast cars, and will also carry you around in your family in comfort, and give you the entertainment that such a car can provide. So if you got any questions, any sort of different setup that you're thinking about with your Alltrack, your other MQB cars, please do reach out. We are knee and waist deep in this platform and in these vehicles, so we can help steer you in the right direction. Hope you enjoyed this series. There's always more to come. There's always more cars that we're building, and all of this knowledge we're sharing with you guys so you make the right choice for your builds. So give us a follow, get in touch if you got any questions, and we'll see you guys in the next one.